Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to East Texas Today on KETK Plus. I'm your host, Tristen VanBeem, and I just want to wish y'all a very happy new year. We are finally in 2026. I know that the past week y'all been waiting for it for so long, so I can't wait to see what this new year brings, and I'm so glad that we are able to go right into it with KETK Plus and just develop this whole new program into something great that I know that it can be. So I just want to say thank you to all the viewers who have been here since we launched this new platform, and to all of our new viewers coming in and joining us in the new year. I really appreciate you all who come in and watch these shows as well. So let's go ahead and get into our first story of the morning, as a new online radio station is set to launch on Thursday, bringing a fresh sound built around the biggest hits of the past 3 decades. Let's go ahead and bring up their logo just so we can see what they're all about. The station, called More FM, will serve Tyler, Longview, and surrounding East Texas communities with a top 40 throwback format, spotlighting the most well-known and recognizable songs starting from the 1990s through the 2010s. And while traditional classic hits stations continue to age forward, More FM aims to carve space for the next generation of, quote, gold. The station will focus on music that feels energetic, familiar, and culturally relevant, without sounding dated, offering listeners with modern takes on throwback radio. Program director and creator of More FM, Justin Walters, said, quote, "Gold-based formats tend to follow a ladder: nostalgia, oldies, classic hits, then throwbacks. More FM lives squarely in that throwback lane. These are songs that people grew up with, and songs that were massive on Top 40 radio, and songs that still sound great today," end quote. The station's song list contains music from pop, pop rock, rhythmic, crossover, and alternative hits. Instead of operating like a playlist that gets shuffled, More FM will be programmed with a traditional radio approach, prioritizing strong flow, listener familiarity, and high replay value. The goal, Walter said, is to recreate the feeling of hit radio during its most memorable eras, while keeping the sound modern and accessible. More FM will operate as an online radio station with a local identity. While available worldwide, the station is programmed specifically for East Texans, offering a local-driven alternative rather than a national algorithm-based streaming service. The station's slogan, quote, "More throwbacks, more fun," end quote, reflects its focus on upbeat, feel-good music that taps into shared memories. Another quote from them is, "There's a large audience that grew up with this music and doesn't hear it on the radio as much anymore." This quote is from Walters, and he said that, quote, "More FM is about bringing back the fun of Top 40 radio, the songs, the moments, and the energy, while still fitting today's listening habits," end quote. More FM officially launches January 1st, today at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, and can be streamed at a link available in the article that's on our homepage. So if you want to go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen, you can find that article that we have done about More FM, and you can click that link at the very bottom of the article to learn more about this new radio station. And I am in the content business, so it is great to see that there are more content sources coming to East Texas, as we have 3 news stations here. Not exactly sure how many radio stations we have, but adding another one to the list just seems like a great thing for the community as well. And for our next story, the Tyler State Park has released a full list of events happening in January as they ring in the new year. Let's go ahead and bring up their logo, because maybe not a lot of people know about the Tyler State Park. One of the first events that they're going to be having is called Impeccable Nature, which is an event for learning about the importance of woodpeckers, and this is going to be held on January 2nd at 10 a.m. at the Loop C boat ramp. And then another event that I want to tell you all about is All About Knots. Learn the basics of bait and tackle assembly on January 9th at 3 p.m. at the group dining hall. And then another cool one that I found while researching for this story was Backyard Bass, which is learning about fish and how to cast on January 10th at 1:30 p.m. at the amphitheater by the boat ramp. Now, I want to say that I will not be teaching this event because I cannot cast to save my life, so I'm sure they'll probably have a professional there for you all waiting, but you do not want to see me teach you how to cast a fishing pole. That is just not a recipe for success right there. And then speaking of fishing, there's another event called Trout Fishing, which is an event that is going to be held by a ranger from the Tyler State Park with a focus on catching freshly stocked trout. And this is going to be held on January 16th and 17th at 1 p.m. at the boat ramp. And then another pretty cool one is called Signs of Life as well, which is a hike with a ranger to find flora and fauna on January 23rd at 2 p.m. at the EZ Loop. Now, there's one more I'm going to list off right here, and I think this is the coolest one that we have on the list so far, and it's called Vulture Time. This means you can learn about nature's scavengers, which are the vultures, while on a scavenger hunt of your own. And this is going to be happening later in the month on January 24th at 2 p.m. at the Blackjack Pavilion. And that is just absolutely amazing. Once again, you can go ahead and go to our website, KETK.com. There's an article that I actually published yesterday about these events going on. So it has that full list in there with the dates, the times, dates, times, locations. Didn't mean to hit the mic. Sorry if that kind of just hurt your ears right there. But yeah, dates, times, locations, a little description about what's going to be going on there as well. And I'm sure that you can also follow the Tyler State Park on Facebook as well if you want to keep updated for more events, as they don't just have them in January. They have them all throughout the year. So if that is something that you're interested in, or maybe you have kids at home that like to be interested in that, learning about nature and just everything like that, you can go ahead and check them out. And then for our next story of the morning, Tyler Junior College, known as TJC, their head football coach, Tanner Jacobson, announced on Wednesday that he will be departing from the school after nearly 4 years. Let's go ahead and bring up a video of that coach, kind of check out what he looks like and see what he has done for this program after the past 4 years. Jacobson was hired by TJC in 2022 and most recently led the Apaches to their best season in 65 years, folks. That is a long, long time. Tyler Junior College saw a ton of success this year, so let's go ahead and hear about what their coach was able to help them accomplish. They finished 11-1 overall and claimed their first conference title since the year 2000. Prior to beginning this postseason at TJC, Jacobson was a defensive assistant at Brigham Young University and then held a special teams coordinator and defensive backs coach role at Snow College in Ephraim, Utah. In a statement released on X on Wednesday, Jacobson expressed his gratitude to the TJC community for the opportunity to coach for the past 4 years. Jacobson saying, quote, "Thank you for your trust, support, and the opportunity to be a part of something special. I am deeply grateful to the Tyler community for welcoming my family and me with open arms and making this city home," end quote. Jacobson has yet to announce any future endeavors following his departure from Tyler Junior College. Well, I just want to personally say thank you for everything that you've done for the Tyler Junior College. I never went to TJC, but I do live in the Tyler area, so I can greatly appreciate what you do for the community. And Coach, I wish you all the luck in your future endeavors, as well as hopefully you get another coaching spot. Who knows where it'll end up being at, but you deserve it. So that's a great job right there. And then a press release stating the progress of a supposed housing development project in Nacogdoches was reported to be false by city officials on Wednesday. This is actually a pretty interesting story, and I came across it whenever I was trying to put together this show, and I just thought this was something that a lot of you would be interested in, as we've been seeing a lot of these hoax posts going on and stuff recently in the East Texas area. So let's learn about what's going on in the city of Nacogdoches. The fake Nacogdoches Housing Authority press release, which circulated over the weekend, announced a U.S. Department of Housing and Development housing project. According to the city, the release claimed that the housing project to be sited near Nacogdoches High School was already underway with a projected January 2028 completion date. The city of Nacogdoches said, quote, "No such project has been proposed for review or approval by the city of Nacogdoches within the Nacogdoches city boundaries or extraterritorial jurisdiction," end quote. The city is currently investigating the origins of the press release and the individual or individuals responsible for creating and sharing it. Now, that is just some absolute fake news right there from whoever posted that press release. That is definitely one thing that you'll never see from KTK right here. So hopefully they're able to find out who was spreading that misinformation. So people in the city of Nacogdoches, don't be looking forward to this housing plan because according to those city officials, it is not real and it has not been proposed and it probably won't be happening. So be on the lookout for anything like that. And as 2025 comes to an end, we have to look back at some of the most memorable moments across East Texas this year. I mean, there was just so much that happened in 2025, so I feel like it is great to just do a complete rundown of 5 of the biggest moments that we experienced throughout the East Texas area, including legal battles, statewide manhunts, and ongoing fights to preserve the region's water rights as well. That water rights one was an absolutely big story, and since these are stories that we actually covered, you know I got to bring in the KTK logo. Sorry if it makes you mad, but we got to just shout ourselves out every now and then. I'm going to go ahead and just start off this story, which is also once again available on our website, KETK.com. Look, it's right there on the screen for you. You don't even need the QR code. You just type that into Google, and it'll bring you right to all the stories that I'm about to mention right here. So we have composed a list of the 5 most significant stories that our team has covered throughout 2025. And no, don't ask me how we came about these 5 stories. I know that we covered a lot of big ones, but I feel like it was someone that is higher above me who chose to make all these to make a list for these stories. So let's go ahead and start with the first one, and this is a big one that I know that most of you at home will most likely recognize. That is the Robert Roberson case. Now, national headlines were made in October after death row inmate Robert Roberson was granted an execution stay just a week before he was scheduled to be put to death. Roberson is a former resident of Anderson County and was sentenced to death in 2003 after the alleged murder of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki Curtis, who was ruled to have been killed by shaken baby syndrome, allegedly caused by Roberson. This was the 3rd execution date that Roberson's lawyers have been able to stay since 2016, a decade ago now, including one scheduled nearly a year ago due to an unprecedented intervention from a bipartisan group of Texas lawmakers who believe that he is innocent. The decision to grant Roberson an execution stay caused divisions across East Texas as the family of Nikki Curtis, including her brother Matthew Bowman, spoke out about the decision to halt Roberson's execution, with Bowman saying, quote, "Every single day of my life, she has never been forgotten, but everybody else has forgotten about her, and now they care about the monster up there," end quote. Once again, that is from Bowman. And however, Roberson's attorney, Gretchen Sween, said there is no evidence that Nikki has or was beaten to death. She added that those accusations are proven false by medical records and blood work. His team is pushing for a new trial. Now, that is obviously a story that just keeps on developing, and we've been covering it here at KTK for a few years now, and I'm sure that we're going to cover it again in 2026 as new developments arise. The most recent one we did was I was actually at the site where his day of execution was announced. So, you know, maybe I'll be back there again, but we'll just see how this story develops later on in the year. And then another big story that we covered in 2025 was the statewide manhunt that happened a few months ago. And a month after East Texas made national headlines for the Roberson case, the region gained national attention once again during a 4-day statewide manhunt. The 4-day manhunt was initiated after 64-year-old East Texan Bobby Michael Dennis allegedly shot a Jacksonville police officer and a K-9 on November 2nd after the officer approached Dennis outside of his home because she knew that he was wanted on 2 warrants for obstruction and retaliation. After the officer approached his home, she saw Dennis walk behind his house before he opened fire with an AR-15 style rifle. The officer took cover behind her patrol vehicle, which was hit by several bullets that injured K-9 Renzo inside. And following the incident, Dennis was placed on the 10 most wanted fugitives list by the Texas Department of Public Safety, and a blue alert was also issued. The manhunt eventually ended on November 5th after Dennis was found at a property on County Road 3509 west of the Jacksonville city limits. Now, I know that y'all probably do remember that story as it did gain some national headlines as well. But I want to go ahead and talk about another story that didn't really gain national headlines, but it did get a lot of traction over here in the East Texas area. Sorry, y'all, I got to itch real quick. It is the East Texas law enforcement agencies partnering with ICE. And throughout the year, several law enforcement agencies across East Texas actually joined the 287G Task Force Model Program. And one of the first East Texas law enforcement agencies to partner with ICE was the Smith County Sheriff's Office. Right here where we are at in KETK, the Smith County Commissioner's Court approved the decision to join 287G in March to give local law enforcement more authority to identify and remove illegal immigrants. The decision to join that task force caused division across Smith County, with several immigrants expressing fear and anxiety for their futures, as they believe new policies are targeting them. Smith County resident sorry if I messed this name up, Yesmilia Alonso, I think I got that right. Sorry. Sorry if I didn't, though. She said, quote, "You're separating families, you're displacing people. It's not humane. It's a shame that Smith County is standing for it," end quote. Smith County Sheriff Larry Smith justified his department's participation in the 287G program, claiming it strengthens its ability to cooperate with federal immigration authorities and to ensure that those who commit crimes in Smith County are held accountable. And then our fourth story, which is another big one that I mentioned earlier, is the fight for East Texas water rights throughout the East Texas area. Another story that gained national attention this year as well was East Texas politicians' fight to preserve water rights across several counties. The story gained spotlight this year after a Dallas businessman named Kyle Bass attempted to purchase 21 well permits in Anderson County that would take billions of gallons of water from East Texas each year. And the permits were eventually suspended after House Bill 27, authored by State Rep. Cody Harris of Palestine and intended to protect East Texas aquifers, was passed in August. Harris also said, quote, "I made a promise to you that I wouldn't stop fighting big money interest trying to profit off East Texas water, and this is the next big step. My sincere thanks to Governor Abbott for listening to East Texans." And then our fifth and final story from this list is about the 89th legislative session. Now, if you don't really remember what this legislative session was about, I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick backstory. And then once again, if you want to go ahead and check out this big article that we have on the screen and all of the individual articles that we've written on all these stories, you can feel free to go to KETK.com. And we have a little search bar right up there in the top right-hand corner where you can search up any of the titles of these stories as well. But let's go ahead and learn more about the 89th legislative session. Another story this year that affected East Texans was this legislative session, which passed several bills changing school policies and impacting local businesses. And during this legislative session, Governor Abbott passed House Bill 1481, which banned students from using cell phones during school hours in school districts across East Texas. And electronics were banned, including telephones, cell phones such as smartphones or flip phones, also tablets, smartwatches, radio devices, paging devices, and any other device capable of telecommunication and digital communication as well. Earlier in the year, Kristen Booth, a LPC associate with Tyler Family Counseling, said this new ban could help improve the mental health of students with depression and anxiety. During this session, Abbott also decided to veto Senate Bill 3, which looked to regulate or ban consumable hemp-derived cannabinoid products. Got that right in the first try. Nice. If the bill were passed, THC products would not be allowed to be sold anywhere in East Texas, which was favored by Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. All right, everyone, so that wraps up the top 5 biggest stories that gained a lot of attention throughout East Texas and also some national attention as well in 2025. So I can't wait to see what 2026 brings. I know it's just the first day, but who knows what can go down. And we are always here to keep you informed and updated on those latest stories as well. And I hope that you guys continue watching and supporting KETK and Fox 51 at the same time in the new year. Let's go ahead and jump into our first break of the show. But when we come back, I have more stories to update you with and some stories to review that happened a few days ago, but I feel like they are important enough to bring up once again. But I will see you all after the break. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're having a happy Thursday, and I just want to say thank you for watching East Texas Today on KETK Plus. I'm your host, Tristen VanBeem, and this coming up story right here is a little bit of a somber one. I know that I talked about this yesterday as well, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it again today as a house fire in Wascom led to the death of a middle school and elementary school student at Wascom ISD. The district released a statement on Tuesday offering its condolences